Hello everyone, my name is UltimoFive and today we're going over the Vulkar Wraith, the Shade Shot. The Vulkar Wraith is the Wraith variant of the Vulkar sniper rifle and is obtained by buying the weapon from Baro when he has it in stock for 300,000 credits and 450 ducats. Requires a mastery rank of 7. Comes with one V polarity slot and a V Exilis polarity slot. Because of this, the builds for this weapon require 5 Forma, and it excels in medium to long range combat and deals with fairly high leveled enemies around 140 and up depending on the faction in small to medium crowds. The Vulkar Wraith has some buffs compared to the original Vulkar in different areas. These stats would be higher base damage, higher fire rate, larger magazine capacity, and has a V polarity slot. Advantages for the weapon would be that it has a very high base damage, high critical chance, very high status chance, low recoil, pinpoint accuracy while zoomed in, an innate 1 meter punch through, and has 3 zoom modes which increases headshot damage from 35% to 70%. Disadvantages, however, for the weapon would be that it has low puncture damage and no slash damage, has a slow reload speed, and has linear damage fall off. The elements for the Vulkar Wraith against the Corpus would be Magnetic and Toxin. Magnetic amplifies shield damage by 100% and nullifies regen of shields for 6 seconds, which stacks up to 10 times for a total of 325%. Meanwhile, Toxin deals 50% base damage per second over 6 seconds and stacks indefinitely with each instance having its own timer. The build's flex slot is Bladed Rounds and performs extremely well against the Corpus. Once Bladed Rounds is procced, you pretty much one-shot every human enemy as long as it's a headshot. It can even perform well against low-tiered armor and robotic enemies except for the Bursa. The element for the Vulkar Wraith against the Corrupted and Grineer will be Viral. Viral amplifies health damage by 100% for 6 seconds and stacks up to 10 times for a total of 325%. The build's flex slot is Bladed Rounds and performs very well against the Corrupted and Grineer except for one thing. It is fairly slow unless you kill a weaker enemy to proc Bladed Rounds, in which case once you proc the mod and get a slash proc, it takes about 1 to 3 seconds for the enemy to fall. The elements for the Vulkar Wraith against the Infested will be Viral and Heat. Heat deals 50% base damage per second over 6 seconds while stripping up to 50% armor and causes targets to panic. The build's flex slot is Hellfire and performs very well against the Infested, but the reason why I suggest lower levels against the Infested is because of the distance. You have a sniper. Do you really think it's a fun idea to go up against a group of enemies that run up to smack you? It isn't. Trust me. The element for the Vulkar Wraith for Eidolon hunting will be Radiation. With this build, you can easily 5 to 7 shot parts with the decent Rhino Roar build. Even though 5 to 7 shots seems like a lot, it really isn't. Compared to the Lenka, the base damage of the Vulkar Wraith is lower, which means it will naturally take more shots, but it takes about the same amount of time when compared to the Lenka. It's a fun little weapon to take Eidolon hunting, even though you lose out on bonus headshot damage while zoomed. Vigilante Supplies. In place of having no Exilis mod. This will cost 1 more Forma in order to have though, but in Seal Path is a bit necessary to keep up with ammo reserves or to get ammo easier if your companion dies. Argon Scope. In place of Bladed Rounds in the Corrupted and Grineer build if you would prefer to hit crits more often instead of having critical damage upon getting a kill. Bladed Rounds. In place of Hellfire in the Infested build if you want critical damage upon getting a kill instead of having heat damage. Meticulous Aim. In place of Bladed Rounds in the Corpus, Corrupted, and Grineer builds if you are good at sniping and landing headshots. Cryo Rounds. In place of Primed Cryo Rounds if you don't have it. And Lasting Purity. It's a good optional mod to have, but it depends mainly on if the player is going against higher leveled enemies or not. Dead Aim increases damage while zoomed in, so it isn't a bad mod to have. Heavy Caliber. Although while zoomed, the primary shot is fairly accurate, any extra shots from multi-shot are inaccurate, which hinders damage. If you can handle the accuracy loss, then be my guest and use this mod. And Prime Chamber. Not a lot of people actually own this mod because of how it was handed out. On top of that, since the weapon has 8 rounds, 10 with Wildfire, you would lose out on so much damage that it's not even funny. There are several ways to enhance critical chance and damage for this weapon. For instance, for damage, Rhino's Roar, Nova's Molecular Prime, which makes all sources of damage increase by 100% against primed enemies, Mirage's Eclipse adds a massive damage bonus during the day or in light, and Saren's Toxic Lash mixed with her Spores abilities. For critical chance, Harrow's Covenant can add up to 50% critical chance and 200% on headshots. The Adarsa Kavat with Cat's Eye can give a 60% critical chance boost, and Smeedo Kavat with Charm can give a 200% crit chance. Arcane Rage. Upon getting headshot, 15% chance for 180% damage to primary weapons for 24 seconds. Arcane Acceleration. Upon critical hit, 30% chance for 90% fire rate for 9 seconds. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more guides on Warframe, please click the like and sub buttons to let me know. And as per usual, I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.